following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It's Tuesday, October 29th, 2024, season 20, episode number 57. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from SWBC Mortgage Studios.
Questions for Bryan.
We're presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. How's everybody doing?
Sorry, Brian's mom. What's her name again?
Shirley.
Shirley.
Yeah.
So sorry. Derek was late.
She listens to the show religiously.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shirley.
I was about to say, you better put a miss in front of that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Miss Shirley.
She's friends of the show.
Well,
She's
I've met her before. She's great.
We'll just call her Mama Broaddus.
Mama Broaddus.
That's what we'll
Mama
call her. Mama
Broaddus.
Broaddus.
It can't be as bad as last year. I was on Talking, and we were talking about Isaiah, and he had gone out to see his in-laws or something. We were talking about, like, hey, how's your weekend? I was like, oh, I had hung out with the in-laws. I was like, oh, like, that's a tough time, huh? And he was like, my wife watches every episode. I was like, oh, it was a really good time. Huh? It was good. It was good. So I felt horrible after that show. I was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I'm an idiot. But anyway.
Hey, man, in-laws are good people. I have great in-laws.
Great people. Great people. It's just the stereotype. It's funny.
It is. All right, so let's jump into this. We've got it's a Tuesday, so we go big picture today. We're going to go into the brain of Bryan Broaddus in the second segment. We'll get some questions. Although Amber is opposed to it, we are going to take some fans' questions in the final segment. So feel free to go ahead and send those to me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. We can also take phone calls, 888-855-2297.
People are taking you as like a literal joke. People sending messages on Twitter just laughing at it.
I'm just saying that this is one of those things where I really try to get to it, and
respect the fan base, okay?
Amber's commentary goes a little long at times, so we don't end up getting to all the fan questions. But we're going to get to them today. We're going to do that in the third segment. I have some that have already started rolling in. We've got actually quite a few that are rolling in, so we'll try to get to as many as we can in that final segment. In the first segment, though, today, I wanted to do something I call On Second Thought. It's kind of a relook at some of the things I noticed in the game and get some opinions from you guys. I want to start first with the wide receiver group. CeeDee Lamb had 13 catches in that game. He had 17 targets. I mean, it's a huge amount of attention that's being paid to him. He did convert that and made that into 146 yards of receiving with 2 touchdowns. No other receiver had more than 44 yards receiving in that game. My question for you guys is this offense too dependent on CeeDee Lamb? And do you think that when Cooks returns, that changes?
First question, yes. If you are an opposing defense, and I think I've said this the last couple of weeks, if you are an opposing defense, who other than CD scares you?
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson sometimes, not all the time. That was a question I asked yesterday to Brian Schottenheimer. It's like, hey, why isn't Jake Ferguson getting more involved? You know, especially in a time where Brandon Cooks has been out and they need to find a reliable second option. I believe he finished with under 20 yards, and it's not like he's been the game breaker that he was last year. So, why isn't he getting more involved? So, yeah, absolutely.
What was his response? I'd be interested to know his response on that.
So I had phrased it more so in a sense of, hey, when Dak is feeling pressure, Jake Ferguson has been a reliable target, and we haven't really seen Jake that much. I believe his answer was along the lines of, yeah, we need to get Jake going. We would like to get Jake going. It's kind of an intention for us. So.
Week 9.
Amber has a way of saying all the things we all are thinking.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you bring up.
That was good timing.
Right.
It's funny you bring this up because in my questions I had for you, one of them was this offense needs Brandon Cooks back in the worst way.
Yeah,
they need something. I don't know if it's Jake Ferguson, and I know that we all felt like, I know on our show on 105.3 The Fan, we felt like the targets were probably going to go CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Cooks, and others were going to get opportunity.
Yeah.
But they right now it's been really difficult. It's so when you watch tight end play around the league, that was a record day for NFL tight ends overall.
Yeah.
Through the whole Sunday, a record day. And you kind of felt like your tight end was like standing outside the window, with his face up against the glass, because, all these other tight ends are having successful days. You're about to play against one that had a really big day. Mm-hmm. But that's the things offensively, yeah, I know in the halftime show, I said, Zach Wolchuk asked me, what do you have to do? I'm like, max protect and throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb every play now. That's what you got to do. They don't have an answer for him. I don't think teams really do still have answers for him. I think if they really want to get him the football, they can. But they need to find something else here. It needs to be and we keep talking about maybe a Tolbert, maybe Brooks. Maybe they tried it with Turpin the other day. Mm-hmm. Turpin got a lot more opportunity in that game. Somebody's got to stand up in this thing, though. Somebody's got to stand up. And, if you can get the ball to the CD, you can find ways to get the ball to Ferguson, though, too. That's where I think that's where I'm losing a little faith right now in this offensive attack.
Yeah.
So when you start singling out people and saying and pointing, let's say at CD, okay, he's not having a good season. You point Jake Ferguson, not a good season. Brandon Cooks during the time that he did play, not having a good season.
Sure.
And you can go down the line and the offensive line as well.
Can I make one quick caveat? I don't think CD's having a bad season.
Not to where you expect it to be, though.
I understand I understand your point there. Third in the NFL in receiving at the end of the day, and I think this last performance kind of put him back on the map, like firmly. It's on par with what it was last year.
It's starting to pick up just a little bit, and to me, and again, it's when you look in comparison of what happened last year, and then you add the contract on top of that, and the expectations, and just what his presence it's even doing as an offensive, like in general, is my point. But with that being said, it's like when you start looking at everyone individually and then you realize like, okay, so many people are not performing at the level that you expect them to. Where is the root of the problem at that point, Derek?
Offensive line. I said it
was gonna be
yesterday.
mine. That was
It's the
gonna be
offensive line. I think right now, and again, I think the first thing you'd want to say is the quarterback, but I think the reason why the quarterback is not as effective as he's been is because of the offensive line. I think the root cause is right now this offensive line is not playing to the level that they need them to play to.
Well,
I think the lack of a running game also kills them in this stuff too. The threat, teams play light box against you. They don't, they're going to play coverage. They're not scared of your running game at all.
So how much of that is also because of the offensive line?
I think it goes into that. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely do. I just, the running backs. Yeah, you just don't. I like Rico Dowdle. I really, really do. But you look at what's happening up front, and they've been behind in games. They've been behind in games where they haven't a lot. They can't establish the run because there's really, when he calls a running play, it's it could be a negative play. It could be a no gain play. I mean, there's a lot of empty runs that these guys have. I mean, I give Zeke credit in the runs he had, the 10 carries or so he had, at least 4 of them were, what they would call successful runs, 4+ yards a carry. And they just can't get to that. They just can't get to where it turns into, they could run the football like they did at one time where it was, that you hand the ball off on a first down and then it's 2nd and 4. It's 2nd and 5. It's 2nd and 9. It's 2nd and 10. They can't get anything established running the football, and I think that really affects the quarterback. Quarterback's got to be better too, though. I mean, he's kind of reverted back to what we talked about a little bit yesterday with the 15 interceptions. Now, that season, half of those maybe not his fault, but you look at the ones that are going on right now, these are on him, and he knows that. And but offensive line, receivers, scheme, there's a lot of things affecting how this offense is really struggling.
Yep. All right, let's get to the second question I have for you guys on second thought. Cowboys were only able to generate 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. That's it in the entire game last week. Is there an answer for generating pressure in the absence of Parsons and Lawrence that this team can possibly look at doing at this point? Because they won't have Lawrence back for a while. Who knows with Parsons? You think it's going to be sooner, but obviously that hasn't happened to this point. What can they do at this point to generate pressure?
play an offensive line like their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a problem, and and
Thanks for the help.
but that's
I heard they'll do it Wednesday.
But in reality though, Zimmer's trying to bring pressure. He's trying to bring blitzers. He's trying to bring, the blitz that they got home on.
Yeah.
They took advantage of the.
That's the problem. That's because, sorry, just like hit me. I'm like, look who they're practicing against.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna get better?
Yeah, that's what I had kind of pointed to as far as fool's gold with the defense when I was talking on that point last week. I believe it was the game where you were like,
yeah, you brought that up last
shocked
week.
or disappointed. I was like, yeah, I thought this defense was going to be really good, and I've attributed a lot of that to the fact that they've been playing a very young offense.
Sorry, Brian.
No,
it
it's
just hit me. I'm like, damn.
They haven't really. We every week we kind of talk about an area maybe that you can attack. And they just have not been able to take advantage of certain players and certain opponents, and unfortunately though it's reflected on that teams feel comfortable throwing the football, they feel comfortable running the football. There's nothing that makes these play callers feel like they're in stress. I mean, two of the big stops you got, in my opinion, were because of what a coach did. Now, okay, I should say this. The fact that the pressure, remember the blitz on the fourth down play, the crossing route, he throws the ball behind Samuel. He throws the ball in front. That's another huge play for them. But it goes behind, and Dallas catches a break. 3rd and 1, what do? They bring in a receiver, and they try to kind of gimmick you with a pass into the flat. It gets tipped. You get off the field that way. Sometimes you got to be lucky that way. Kansas City played against San Francisco, and the entire game was that. Sometimes Kansas City was able. There were a couple of times where Kansas City didn't get pressure, didn't get stops, but like luck, and then maybe Shanahan's ego allowed you to get the football back. But yeah, they're just not generating nearly enough pressure, and it's not. I don't think it's from a lack of trying. I don't think they're skilled enough to do it, and they just haven't had the ability to get guys home when they blitzed.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll go inside the brain of Bryan Broaddus. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
The LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital trends say that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. Don't believe us? See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo. That's it.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break live from the
Close
SWBC
enough.
Yeah.
Mortgage Studios at the Star. Jesus. All right, Brian, let's go inside your brain. What
That's
you
what
got?
happens when you're late to the show.
Well, that means I had 10 minutes to find the read. We still couldn't find it.
That's good. That's a good one. That's
All right.
a good one.
Got you here. Nick, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Do you expect changes at safety this week after the San Francisco game?
Man, I wanted to bring that up this week. I'm glad you
Didn't we all?
I'm glad you started with that. Were you surprised it was one? I'll get to your. I'll answer your question. Were you surprised it was
Answer my question.
Thomas? Were you surprised it was Wanye Thomas?
Yeah, a little bit.
I was a little bit, but I understood it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they needed somebody to handle those crossers.
Yeah.
And Kittle was just killing them on those crossers, and it's something that I've asked Eric Kendricks about, Overshown, Zimmer. Zimmer gave me kind of a short answer yesterday, but these crossing routes have been killing them through these first 7 games.
They lose the middle third every time.
Yeah, and if you look at what Kyle Pitts can do, if you look at what they try to do to get Darnell Mooney open as well, Drake London's more of an outside guy, but you Ray McLeod as well. Those crossers, they're going to come right back at you at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday. So yeah, I anticipate a little bit more Wanye if they anticipate that he is better at covering those crosser routes.
Derek.
They need something. I think right now, if I look at the defense and I go position by position and say which position is hurting you most, is hurting this team most, that would be the second position I would call. Defensive tackle would be the first, and the second would be safety. I think right now you're not getting the types of – you're certainly not – I mean, everything that they paid Donovan Wilson to be able to do, because I don't think there was any illusion that he was going to be a great cover guy.
Never.
But you were paying him to be the guy on the spot, the guy to be able to come up and make the big tackle, to be able to diagnose plays, fill the gaps. And this last game, it just wasn't there. Yeah. There were a number of times where he was out of position, had bad angles. It's just – he's not doing those things well. And so when I look at it, I'm just like, right now, the safety position is a problem for the defense. And I don't even know why, because I don't – it's such a drastic departure to me from what they were last year. I thought they played both of them. I thought they played much better last year than they're playing right now, and I don't really know why. I don't know
Might be Joe Witt.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. But it's just
throwing it out there.
I'm just saying that's a difference, right?
Yeah.
You start looking for what's the difference,
or maybe they're playing the strength where they're played so much single high that they were playing down, and now you're not playing a guy in coverage.
Different kind of defense.
You're not
maybe they're being asked different things.
Yeah.
They're not really suited for this defense. Maybe, who knows? I just know it's a big departure from where we were last year, and I think something has to change. And you mentioned it last week. I think Bell's the guy. I want to see a little bit more Bell, because I think last year playing linebacker, outside the fact he was giving up so much size, I thought he played well. And he filled well. So I actually would like to see him a little more at safety.
So was it a product of, maybe, this is me theorizing, of, hey, Wanye is going to be better in coverage and we are severely lacking in coverage right now?
I think that.
Whereas Marquise Bell is going to be your run support, but also can be a guy that can cover as
Late in the game, though, you started seeing like Lewis got a cover there. They
Yep.
used McQuamu there. I think it was a little too late at that point in time. AG, you got a thought on this one? Safety change after the 49er game.
Well, you know what sucks? It's like we had come such a long way from the years where you did not have a safety.
Yeah.
And then you had to figure it out. Your safety group was all taken care of. They were all doing a good job. And then all of a sudden, it's starting to fade away once again, and you're definitely needing support back there. But again, I think it all starts from the front as well.
Yeah.
It starts with what the defensive line is doing, and then it trickles back to the rest of the defense. So they definitely have some issues there, but hopefully, maybe with some of these changes, it can help improve that area.
All good answers, guys. Appreciate that. Derek, give me something you'd absolutely do to help this team, but they most likely won't do.
Something I do right now or long term?
How long do you have?
Something, just take it any way you want. Give me something that you would absolutely do to help this team, but most likely they won't do.
I think I would probably look for more help at the defensive tackle position, and I would invest some significant resources in it, because I think what we've seen over the last few years is without having that piece there in the middle of your defense, and quite frankly, I think it's really both defensive tackle positions, the 1 technique and the 3 technique. I think Osa is a good player.
Yeah.
I want more from my 3 technique.
No, I agree.
I really want more. I
Should have
think
been a game for
around
him.
the league. Yeah, around the league, you're seeing this more and more. How much? And I was watching the Eagles, and I mean, they've
drafted, they've invested.
Their guys just upfield every play. The Giants last night upfield every play, and they're affecting the quarterback. Yeah. And it changes how the quarterback has to play when that pressure's coming up the middle. And I would love to see more of that from Osa. It just doesn't seem like he's having those types of game-altering type plays.
Right.
And again, I think he's a really good player. I just don't think I want more. Yeah. And I don't know what that is, what that looks like, or I shouldn't say I don't know what that looks like. I don't know where they get that.
Yeah.
But I really think if I had the opportunity to kind of change some things, I would really I'd go into this offseason thinking I really got to upgrade the interior of my defense.
Yeah. But like I said, I asked it in a way of most likely they wouldn't do.
They wouldn't do?
Yeah.
Well, you look at the history, like that's not been an area where they typically invest the resources. They did invest that first round pick, and that also makes me wonder if that sometimes you're always against something, and then somebody talks you into doing it,
and then safe answer
doesn't work.
Derek.
It doesn't
safe
work.
Answers.
No, that's not a safe answer. And then it doesn't work, and then you're like, I ain't doing that ever again. So it makes me wonder if they'd be like, I ain't investing the first round in defensive tackle because I've seen what that looks like and that didn't work for me. Yeah. But I don't know that their history says they don't invest much in the defensive tackle position.
My Deion Walker fantasy is just slipping as Derek talks more and more here.
Hey, G, give me something that you would absolutely do to help this team, but most likely they won't do.
Change the play caller.
In season?
In season.
Like right now?
I'll tell you what.
I mean,
to go to who is the question? Like,
Schottenheimer. You can go to Schottenheimer.
Is that going to be better?
I'm just telling you. To me, I like what you just did. I personally like what you do. Yes, I would absolutely let Mike manage the game. Let him watch. Let him in if he wants to interject some thought. I think I would take a shot at this point in time. Yes, because. A Schottenheimer.
A shotty.
But you can I like what you can finish your thought. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump.
No, you're good.
I love your answer. I love your answer. I love your answer.
But to answer your question there, I mean, definitely would not do this, but I mean, you have to wait so long for the season to get here. So it's this whole mentality of like, we just got to let it run the course and wait again. I'm like, for what? We don't have time. So why not? Again, this is not going to happen. And my respects to Mike McCarthy, I do love him as a head coach. Yeah. I just don't think right now he's doing a good job with the play calling. There are many choices, questionable choices. There are also the scheme. A lot of the things that he does, I don't think it's helping position his players in the best spot possible for them to succeed and be successful at executing some of these plays. So I think there's a lack of creativity there, and especially when you see what other teams that you're facing are bringing to the table, and you're like, dang, okay, well, you see all the other options that is happening around the NFL that you're like, okay, why can't we try certain things like that? Or because clearly it's not working right now. So, yeah, that's something I would do, but they wouldn't.
That 4-play sequence there at the end where they had the chance to win.
There you go. See,
and 3 of those 4 are vertical routes. You haven't completed a vertical route since the telephone was invented.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Well, see, that's the thing about it is, too, that I look at this and you don't do anything in the third. Then all of a sudden he takes that massive play sheet and he finds something like for 2 or 3 series. Yeah. And you're like going, okay. And then you have that last series.
You had time.
And that last series and you're going, what the hell? Yeah. Did you flip back to where you were calling plays in the third that weren't working? Yeah. To me, I'm looking for some consistency. Not every play is going to work.
Yeah.
But you know what? Stay with something that might be. Stay with something, you're right about that. Why are we throwing this? Why are we doing that? Maybe a time to run. How many? To me, I just think you have to do something different, and they won't do it.
Dak and McCarthy both mentioned coming out of the bye week is the one of the many things that has been hurting this offense is they are in 3rd and 4th and long too much.
Yeah,
and a lot of things can be attributed to that, but from a play calling perspective, when you are in 2nd and 10, you need to get yards.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, when you were in 2nd and 10, you have to make it easier on your 3rd down. It has to be. One thing I would change that I don't think they would. Hit this trade market hard in the next week.
Yeah.
I think just in general, you could talk about defensive tackle. You talk about running back. You could talk about
Would you get another receiver?
I was about to say, do they need another receiver?
They might.
Do they need another receiver?
I mean, we just finished saying you got CeeDee Lamb, and what else you got? Yeah.
They do need another receiver, but if I'm like stacking my list of preferences, defensive tackle, running back, the way the corner depth has been killed, I'd look for a depth corner. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would look at too.
Can I throw something out there? I probably should have said this, but I went first, so I didn't think fully about it. If we all said, and I know I've been pretty adamant about this, the biggest problem they have right now is the offensive line.
Yeah.
At some point, would you consider the fact that maybe, and I know you don't, from continuity standpoint, you're like, well, we want our guys to be there at the same place. Mm-hmm. Would you consider, like, take your left guard, move him to left tackle, take your left tackle, move him to right tackle, bring in your guy off the bench to play left guard, and then you may have your best 5 on the field that, by the way, may be in their most natural positions. I don't know. But there's an argument to be made at some point. You're going to keep banging your head against this brick wall and not getting the results from your offensive line. At some point, do you make the changes and just see? Like, I don't know that it's going to get a lot.
At this point, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's the point. Like, it could go off the rails. I mean,
but the problem you run into is you have a head coach who's on an expiring contract. And now you're asking him to make a bunch of changes.
Yeah, that's a big change. You're talking about 3 different moves.
You're like, now you're giving up on the season, and his job is on the line.
Well, no, because if it works out and it improves slightly, then we're giving him praise and we're clapping our hands and we're like, okay.
But
he made the move.
But thank you very much for doing what we asked you to do. But hey, good luck to you down the road. That's the problem he's in right now.
Yeah.
You're going to ask these coaches to, as a front office, to probably, if this thing goes really poorly, and I mean really poorly, where you've lost 5 or 6 games. Now you're going to ask, like, we're already playing young guys. You really are, because of the injuries. So you can't ask him to do that. The reason you probably lost 6 games in a row at that point is because you're playing young guys. Now you have to ask the coach, like, hey, would you mind giving up the play calling a little bit here? Would you mind,
Yeah.
And that guy's going to, like, go, screw you. I'm not. I mean, it's a tightrope those guys have to walk. Because when it goes south, everybody in the coaching staff knows they're probably not going to be back. Now, if you start asking them to do things, they're like, screw you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, and it is a difficult situation, but you're exactly at the mark of the season where you can either make a left, keep going to the left,
fork of the road,
or turn things back around and actually have a fair fight here in competition. But I don't know.
I think that's also the nature of coaches. At least my experience of watching them is they it's almost like, Brian, you've said this with scouting.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it, then you think it can happen again.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole Zeke thing. I think they've seen Zeke be very, very productive. Right. And so in their minds, like, if we can just, like, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. You just gotta keep it doing. You gotta keep doing it, and you gotta stay consistent with
letting
it.
go.
And it's and
that's what they say.
But I do think that a lot of this, from the standpoint of how these coaches think about it, is they've seen it before, and they're just gonna say, you just gotta let it keep going. You gotta let it work, and eventually we'll get there.
Well,
and then they run out of time.
This might be the coaches, and this is the theory, that the coaches might say, sure, the front office is asking you to play Zeke. The front office is saying, hey, what about, can we get more touches for Zeke? Can we get some more touches for Zeke? And the coaching staff's like, well, wait a minute. Rico Dowdle probably gives us the best chance, but all of a sudden you're kind of like, okay, we'll show you. We're gonna play Zeke here, and Zeke played well the other day.
Yeah, he had some decent runs.
It just makes me wonder if it's the front office that's pushing for Zeke, and the coaches are thinking like, fine, we'll step back and we'll play Zeke here and see what it is. That's what I worry about a little bit. That maybe it might not be a coaching thing. It might be a front office thing to play Zeke here. Yeah. Okay, do I have time for one more? Are you
Yeah.
going to carry the show a little longer? Or
Yeah,
what are you
sure,
gonna do?
go.
I know Ambar's hungry.
She'll be all right.
to lunch him. Okay, my last question for you guys, for you, Nick.
Let's do it.
Was that just a one-off for Dalvin Cook?
What do you like?
One off. That's it. We're only going to see him. They're only going to activate him this one game.
He's in one game and he's done.
No, we'll see him. We'll see him in Atlanta.
You think so? You see him in Atlanta?
6 carries and we've seen all we need to see. You're done.
I think we'll see him in Atlanta.
I mean, after all, Dowdle will be back and all that, though.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is,
unless he gets sick right on the bus again.
Yeah.
Thought he had motion sickness.
Well, it's a shorter bus ride this time.
You would know.
Deuce Vaughn was activated in his place and he didn't play one snap. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably the easy switch off.
Sure.
You also have a Monty
That was what they were going to do. Yeah.
That's hurt. So he'll place in for Micah Parsons if he's back. So I don't anticipate Zeke being inactive either. So I think it's going to be a Zeke, Rico, Dalvin Cook backfield on Sunday.
So it's not a one-off.
Just an early week whisper, I guess.
Derek, one off?
No, I don't think it's one off. I think he'll be back. I do wonder how they will integrate him and how they're going to split up these carries because with Rico back, I'll keep riding. I think Rico's the best running back you have on this team. So I don't know where he fits, and I don't know, especially with him and Zeke, because I think they're kind of the same type back. But that being said, I don't think it's a one-off. I think he'll stay up. I just think it's a matter of how they're going to use him.
AG?
No, I agree. I don't think one game is enough or is even fair for you to give like a good assessment on the player and what he can do or contribute to your offense. So I do see him coming back again. But again, you're in this situation because of your own doing and your own decisions. So
I love when Ambar Garcia pops out.
You want to look at the camera and just point?
No.
You did this to yourself.
No.
So if they go 0 for 3 on Dalvin,
Chris, take me off the one shot, please.
if they go 0 for 3 on Dalvin Cook elevations, is it Malik Davis next? And let's see what he got.
Derek
I haven't heard that name in a while.
He's still on the team.
You're trading.
I completely forgot he was still on the team.
did
You're right.
too,
He is still
actually.
on the team. All right, we're going to take our final break. We will come back. I got some questions from the fans out there on X. We'll get to those when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star.
Derek.
Y'all know how to get me riled up.
I love it. It's funny.
Inside jokes, folks. Sorry. All right, let's get some questions. We got some questions from X. Let's hit here in the final segment so we can get Amber off to lunch. Question from Chris Johnson. He says, are we playing our best 5 offensive linemen? What would you change, if anything, on the offensive line? I've already told you guys how I would line it up. What would you guys do?
You had run back your.
I said I would go with Smith at left tackle, Bass at guard, keep BB at center, keep Zach at right guard, and I would move Guyton over to left or to right tackle.
To right tackle.
So basically, I would take Steele out and I would put Bass in and then move everybody around.
Yeah, I think that is your best 5 at the end of the day. Guyton is
What
still.
about
young,
Awesome
too.
Richards playing guard?
I don't think he's
Which
part
guard?
of your best 5.
I mean,
left.
the left guard. I mean, I know that's
over Bass.
That's where he. To me, that seemed like some of the best reps that he was taking.
But is he better than Bass? Is what I'm asking. Is he better than Bass at left guard?
I kind of know what Bass is.
But is he better than Bass?
I would take. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking about maybe playing and seeing if he's better than.
Oh,
Bass.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying I've seen enough to where I want to see if you give him those reps.
I don't know.
Does he get better?
I don't know if, like I say, Awesome Richards might be an awesome player. I don't know that. He never gets to play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of understand what TJ Bass is. I would be interested to see if Awesome Richards plays better than Bass going forward. That's where I would be. If we're shuffling things around, I'd give Awesome Richards a look just to see.
Just for clarity's standpoint, I think I remembered you telling me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you thought Awesome was a better right guard than left. Is that accurate?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I know that they talk about TJ Bass that way.
Okay.
They talk about Bass
He's
being a
better on
better
the left
right guard than a left guard. Yeah.
So the expectation is, let's assume Zach moves on next year.
Yeah.
Bass is the guy you're thinking moves into right guard.
That could be very well.
And
the
then
case.
maybe Awesome is your left guard.
I would like to know if things are again best 5. I think that's all debatable right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of player Awesome Richards really is. Awesome Richards as a guard looked okay. He really did, and I'm just curious though if and that's based on the scrimmages against the Rams and some pregame, and then all of a sudden they started having some injuries, and he had to go out to tackle. So I was just curious. I kind of understand what Bass is. I think Bass is a serviceable player. I just wonder if Awesome Richards is a better player.
Yep.
I mean, I'm at the point that I don't truly know who the best 5s are anymore because everybody has not played at the level that you want them to.
That's true.
Smith?
Well, with the exception, I think he's been good. He's been good. But, it's a trickle-down effect that it's like everybody has to be doing their exact job, but otherwise it just kind of screws up the person next to you in that instance. So it's just hard. But and again, I don't think it's a take one guy out, plug this other guy, and then everything will be magically fixed and better. So I don't really have a good answer to give at this point because I don't even know if the answer is here on the team.
Didn't notice a negative play for Tyler Smith until the very last play of the game on the offense.
He's been good.
Yeah. But you kind of like you're sitting there and you're like the whole game, you grade all the plays, and then the very last play he gets beat and Dak has to kind of go to his right and try and throw the ball. And that's when you're going to go, oh, well, how did that happen? Tyler Smith got beat, but he's played the whole game and played well. And then the one play. That's the story of offensive line.
I was going to say, that's what offensive line is, right? You have a great game and you have one play.
And then you have one play.
And that one play defines you.
But overall, I mean, he's been amazing in his career in general. Like everything that he's done, he's been great.
I think Cooper Beebe's been really good.
I do too. I'm very impressed with how he's developed. Yeah. I mean, he's getting better every week.
I want him to get better in the run game. But in pass protection, he's been good.
He's not there. I'm saying from where he was week 1 to where he is now, I think he is making the development that you wanted to see him. Everybody knew it was going to take a little while. He's playing a new position. We knew it was going to take a while, but I think he's developing.
Yeah.
I think
I'd like to see all
nice
5
pace.
guys get better in the run game.
Exactly.
Do you feel like BB's been better than Broaddus was last year? There's a reason I ask that. It's not to slam dunk on BB. I think it's more so a proven point to that Guyton and BB are still very much a work in progress. Because I think
they had different issues. Like to me, Broaddus' power was always a challenge for me with Broaddus. And I don't know if that's BB's problem.
I think the difference between BB and Broaddus, I think that BB doesn't have the experience. Now, he's getting the experience. We're going into week 8 of football here, or week 9 of football.
Yeah. It's week 9.
Yeah. So you're just getting that experience. I thought last week he was much better of when it came to those blocks of like getting that guy down and then getting up on the second level there. That's the difference. I think that Broaddus had that understanding of how to do that. I don't think he could physically do it all the time. That's where I think the difference is for me.
I think BB's a better player. I think he's still developing. And so I think there's still
Year
little
2,
things.
he's going to be so good.
I really think he's going to be a long-term. He's going to be a really good player for them. And I think he's going to be way better than what Broaddus was, I think, long-term. That's an interesting question. You say right now, it's different things
it's
you're dealing with.
Experience to me. But we're going into week 9.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys really aren't rookies anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys have played 9 games. They're not rookies anymore.
We only got about 4 more weeks until Tyler Guyton has doubled his career starts.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
When you
not
put it
long,
like
but
that,
it's
wow.
it's crazy.
All right, let's get one more question before we finish. Oscar Sullivan asks, after seeing Chauncey Golston play extensively, would you consider re-signing him going forward in the future?
I just had this conversation with somebody. I don't remember who over the course of the last couple of days.
Chauncey Golston.
He's
he said, yes, sign me up.
He is of the current defensive line picture right now and how it is. Chauncey Golston's the only one I would bring back.
I tell you what, we talked about it last week. The edges needed to play well. You were talking about edges focus on run. That edge focused on the run, and I thought that they were
and did a good job
and did a really good job at it. So, man, he's changing the narrative for me because I've always felt like he was kind of a flash player, but he just these reps he's getting every week. I mean, he's playing more and more and more. I think you're getting a better player. I just don't know what's going to happen. Could he be? Does this allow you to move on from Tank and then he take that spot? That's probably why you would make that determination to go sign him if you would.
You know what he reminds me? He reminds me of a guy like a Tyrone Crawford from the standpoint of I think he's a good player, and I wonder if they would have left him at one spot all this time, how much better of a player he could be.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen just in these last few weeks how much better he is when he's had just opportunity to keep playing at one spot. And it makes me wonder if they did him a bit of a disservice by creating that position flex and moving him tackle guard. Tackle in, as opposed to just putting him in one spot and really letting him develop.
Me personally, too, I'd like to see KJ Henry play more. I really, really would. If at edge, there's some things that he did in that game the other day that I thought were pretty good. So, I mean, when you watch him and how he was playing the run and how he was getting up the field, how he was kind of redirecting himself, I think that the way he looks, his profile and all that, there's something to work with there. I'd like to see him get more of an opportunity, maybe over Carl Lawson if that's the case.
I read a stat the other day that of all those defensive ends, I want to say KJ Henry was the only one that wasn't, but they had 0 pressures for the game. 0.
Yeah.
And that's an astounding number. I'm not saying sacks. I'm just saying pressures.
Yeah.
That's just beating your guy enough where the quarterback has to kind of rethink what he's doing or move. And that's where, if you get in that situation, that's how you end up getting beat against a team that's compromised offensively. If you can't get pressure on them, it's just...
I think part of that was a product of the edges. They did commit to the run game.
Yeah.
And the Niners didn't find success in the run game until they started going under center and hammering it downhill and went after the tackle. So I think the tackles not getting home for pressure-wise, I think that's more.
You needed Osa to win.
Say that again.
You said you mean the ends not getting home, or the you said the tackles
not getting home.
I got you.
on pressures.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
If they were going to put the ends and commit them to the run game, then they had to be able to dedicate pressure somewhere or pressure intention somewhere, and that has to come from the tackles, or because they didn't send any spot blitzers, So
I agree.
All right, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll jump into next game, start getting ready for Cowboys versus Falcons. Should be an interesting matchup. Till tomorrow, for Nick Harris, Bryan Broaddus, and Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!